Hey everyone, it is Istvan82 and I am back. I did a tiny bit of work in the meanwhile. Mostly I've just been gathering resources to start work on our home, or at least I should say making resources to start work on our home. So we'll hopefully... good enough. Good enough for a starter. Let's get up here. The first thing we'll want to do is actually lay down the real cornerstones. Cornerstones are actually neat. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I put that block in the wrong place. For those of you who don't know, the cornerstone, you know, aside from being the place where it marks when a building was built, there's usually something inside of the cornerstone or underneath the cornerstone. Some people put in newspapers or bottles of wine from the year that the building was put in. In the olden days, churches used to put in things that would technically consecrate the church, because they would, I'm trying to think. I know that there was one church, I can't remember what it was, that had earth from Golgotha in its cornerstone, which is, of course, supposedly the mound where Jesus was, or the place where Jesus was executed. So, that is, in essence, how it works. I believe the church started it. I'm not entirely sure on the matter. I'm not claiming to be an expert on this sort of thing. I rarely claim to be an expert on anything because I could be entirely wrong, and if I am, then sorry. But yeah, that's generally how it works. So, you know, I ought to bury something under that cornerstone, or one of these cornerstones. That way I can mark the official building of the house or something. But I don't really need to do that. It would be a little bit silly in a Minecraft game. And generally speaking, the cornerstone is the first stone put down of a building. So anyway, yes, I'm told they'll also bury things, possibly items blessed by a pope, small holy relics, whatever, though that's really more of a reliquary. Or that would be more likely to go into a reliquary, which most churches, most Catholic churches especially, have, which are supposed to be holy items of important significance. Usually the finger bones or pieces of the bones of saints, which also technically consecrate the area as being holy. Yeah, Buddhism has a similar practice. Yeah, interesting enough, Shinto belief has a somewhat similar practice. They'll bury an item they believe to be powerful or, you know, of spiritual significance. Well, it's not even buried. They keep it in a shrine. It is oftentimes, though not always, a sword that has been commissioned by that shrine since, you know, Japanese, well, there's really only Japanese Shintoism, nearly as I know. I could be wrong. I'm sure it's spread throughout the world. But either way, the sword is supposed to be of great spiritual significance as well. So, that's interesting. I mean, maybe I should, like, bury a sword in a chest in the corner of my house, or to consecrate it. I'll share another weird random fact with you.
Zombies won't spawn because it's consecrated.
But I'll share another weird random fact with you too while I'm on it. Alright, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of the great sword, or if you played a lot of video games, you probably have heard of the swordsmith Masamune. In Japanese video games, his sword tends to be the best in the game. Now, as I've heard the legend go, and once again, I'm not claiming to have it entirely right. There was a contest between the sword makers Masamune and Murasame. Now, keep in mind, it's a family of swordsmiths, not an actual person. Yeah, Murasame and Masamune were the family name, not their personal name. But, there was basically constant debate over whether or over whose sword was better, whose sword was sharper, blah blah blah. You know, standard dick measuring stuff. Only from a spiritual standpoint. So, they had a number of, basically, a number of tests were raised, probably by the local daimyo, to see who made the better sword, and they were each told they could make one sword for this, and to make it their absolute best possible. And what ended up happening was, the final test was, they would hold the blade underneath a waterfall, and then drop 3 leaves over top of the blade, and see how easily it cut them. Well, Murasame's sword actually cut through all of the leaves with no effort whatsoever. And it was a one-time, one-test thing. You know, you only got one shot at it. And all of the leaves over Masamune's sword missed. They went around the blade. And they declared Masamune the victor. Because the leaves were afraid of his sword. Which is kind of a neat take on the matter. I understand it's, you know, a very, very deeply held spiritual belief. I'm not trying to, you know, say that's ridiculous. But it's kind of a, wow, that's ever so slightly silly, guys. Ever so slightly extremely silly. But at the same time, I think that's what, you know, whether it's true or not, it's one hell of a story. That's why in every video game you see, there is a Masamune. And in a lot of older video games, there's also a Murasame. The more you didn't need to know. Alright, let me see. What am I gonna do here? Anyway, now that I'm done babbling at you like a nitwit, didn't I have 2 left over? Yeah, I probably did. It's probably these 2. I know a lot. I actually, know a weirdly large amount about swords. I was an apprentice blacksmith for a while. And I would have loved to have learned a lot more than I could have, but unfortunately, you know, the person who was teaching me stuff moved away. But I could probably still hammer out a breastplate in, you know, a couple hours if you gave me the time, and make a semi-decent set of cooking knives if I had access to the right materials. And I actually know the process of how to fold steel. It's not really Damascus steel or Japanese swordsmithing techniques, because those are entirely different. Well, first of all, Damascus steel is completely lost. The actual original recipe for it is gone. I believe there are some people who have analyzed blades by taking samples and have come up with close approximations, but there's no actual hard evidence of, no one wrote it down. It was something that was passed down orally. And eventually, unfortunately, stuff like that gets lost when enough people die because of stupid wars. So, that's unfortunate. As a good Damascus steel sword, as much as the average weeaboo, which I will admit I am kind of one, likes to deny it, would go right through probably any of the most well-made Japanese swords. Yeah, I'm a weeb. There's no point in lying about that. Damn, I hate wasting glass. But, they were some masterpieces, to be honest. And, oh well, this is why, well, it probably was written down. Unfortunately, what is the first thing any invading army does when they take over? Or anytime there's a revolution? You burn down the libraries. I don't know why this is the case, but it is, and it always has been.
I do.
Well, yeah, because you don't want people knowing things, or you don't want people remembering their culture. It also helps to keep people ignorant. That's unfortunate as hell. There were things that, if we knew them today, would literally... Basically, if it hadn't been for the Dark Ages and a bunch of other stuff, we probably would be well technologically beyond where we are now. The Muslims invented a number of incredible technologies for the time period. I mean, nowadays, we would look at it and go, duh, what's so, great about X, Y, or Z? Well, they invented it when pretty much all the world had to its name was dirt. They invented it when all they had to work with was dirt and sheep shit. So that's what's amazing about it. And I can't remember. There's a very interesting special on History Channel about it at some point, where someone actually found one of the documents and was looking at all of the random inventions in it and going, this is, Renaissance era technology from 700 years before the Renaissance. What more could you really ask for at that point? I'm babbling, and I know a lot of you don't give a shit. I'm playing Minecraft. That's what you want to see. But, I don't know. I like trying to educate a little. You shouldn't just be, watching me play the video game. Maybe I can teach you something useful. And a lot of people that watch me are still in school, and fuck, maybe you'll get an A. Or if you listen to me too much, you will get an F. That, of course, is the American grading system. I don't know about the rest of the world. That'll work. I don't give a damn. I could tell you the Harry Potter grading system, but that's about it. Yeah, for those of you that hadn't figured it out yet, I'm a little bit of a geek. And I know that's probably a shock to you. It certainly was a shock to me. Except for all the parts where it wasn't. It's one of those things of pretty much the first time you go out of your way and buy Dungeons and Dragons book, you have to admit to yourself, oh wow, I'm a geek. Because there's no denying it at that point. Not a damn bit. Of course, the same goes for the first time you go out and buy a Harry Potter book, or any type of fantasy novel, actually. And it's... why deny the truth? Come on, guys. Not to say that there's anything wrong with being a geek. I mean, there certainly are advantages to it. There are lots of disadvantages, too, whenever anything goes wrong with your friends' computers and they go, hey, man, can you fix this for me? I just had, and the answer is, sometimes, yeah. Half the time, my own computer fights with me. I just managed to have a computer that the computer I'd put together so that I could run Minecraft server play on explode on me when I was plugging in the goddamn video wire. That was all I was doing. Plugged in the video wire, boom. Well, it didn't explode, but, you know, it's dead. It's completely dead. It's not only merely dead, it's totally fucked, is what I'm trying to get at. I only needed one set. Maybe I'll make it another story then. Fuck it. And I should have made that one back. Well, then I'm glad I got too many. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. You can harvest steps now. I love that. I really do. That means I need to move these doors over one. But, yeah, so there are certain advantages to being a geek. I can't say I dislike it. I enjoy having friends that like to talk about out of the ordinary or intellectual things. Not that I, at any point in my life, have claimed to be an intellectual. I deny that. I am some weird dude. I'd rather be called a dude than anything else because, well, Big Lebowski, mostly. Anyway. Alright. We've been... I don't know how long we've been recording, but we'll go a lot longer. Anyway, let me think. Weird stuff, weird stuff, weird stuff. Your mom. So I was out seeing a friend earlier today. Well, yesterday at this point. And, he... apparently, somehow, after having known known my girlfriend for a while, just didn't know that we constantly make fun of her mom. I was like, I was really surprised. Like, yeah, it's not even... I told him a story. A friend of my brother's apparently reads, my girlfriend actually has a website based off of the weird random shit that comes spewing out of my mouth when I'm not paying attention. For those of you who are curious, it's, what is it? It's crazy shit.
My boyfriend.
Yeah, crazy shit my boyfriend says at Blogspot. And he was reading it and was like, does she get upset with how, you know, he talks about her mom? I was like, no. No, she doesn't. She pretty much backs it all up. I was like, oh, well, that must make that makes your mom jokes a lot easier. So anyway, I'm thinking of possibly, maybe not tonight. I've got to set it up first because I've got to pull out the thing I can play Nintendo games on. But I'm probably going to do another What the Hell Am I Playing with a game a friend loaned me. I'm not going to say the name because that would spoil it. It's an old NES game. Since I no longer have access to a server that I can just randomly hop on whenever I want, I'm probably going to try and do some recording with Mr. Freakin' Turtles over the next few days, because, well, he's fun to play with. But, yeah, that sounds horribly wrong. Anyway. And maybe a friend of his who has access to various things, I guess, or, you know, he just wants to play with. It could be fun. I'm just a bit burnt out at the moment, because Christ managed to hurt my back again. I was helping, you know, the friend I helped move a few weeks ago move a few things so he could get his house a bit more organized, and didn't realize I was picking up a box of D&D books, and again, back. My back hates me. I am, you know, almost 30 friggin' years old. My back wants me dead. Like, I'd kind of been hoping that I would be older when it finally started trying to murder me.
Don't tell people how old you are. It makes me old too.
Yeah, but you're a lot younger than me.
That's true.
Yes, I am robbing the cradle, or perhaps she's robbing the grave. She's not hugely younger than me, but on a scale of neither of us want to grow old, it matters. Why not? No one wants to grow old.
I'm afraid I'll turn into my mother.
I'm afraid you'll turn into your father.
It's too late for that.
Yeah. But, alright, well, we got a good basic foundation here. I'm going to throw down a few torches to keep monsters from spawning up here. And when we return, how's the wheat doing? Hey, I can see my wheat from here. And our little hydrocephalic piggy. I wish I hadn't wasted all that wheat. How is our little hydrocephalic? Hey, our little hydrocephalic piggy is alive. And, yeah, I use that word a lot. If you don't know, hydrocephalic means literally waterhead. It's the condition when a animal is born, animal. People are animals too, sorry. But an animal is born with a gigantic... What the hell? Oh, fucker. You're just hiding under there the whole goddamn day? You son of a bitch. Yeah, but an animal, or of some form, is born with an absolutely gigantic head. Little cockmongler. Anyway. I believe it just means water on the brain. Operation. Alright. It's water on the knee. Alright. Copyright Milton Brothers, Parker Bradley, whatever. Francis Bacon. Anyway, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere with everything. So, we'll be back tomorrow for more of this. I hope you guys have a good Saturday. And damn, we're getting close to Christmas, aren't we? That's cool. So, maybe I'll do something special. I'd like to. So,